The 2025 offseason is officially in play for the Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately, the season ends with another heartbreak against the Kansas City Chiefs. Hello, everyone. My name is Brett McDurphy. I'm back with the Go Bills podcast, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in each and every week. Don't forget to like and subscribe and also comment on our videos. Today, we are going to begin a new series that is going to be a little bit of fun. We're going to start off with our Resign and Let Walk. I want to start this series because it's so important to talk about the players that are on the roster right now. Some of these players, well, all of these players actually, for a matter of fact, are going to be free agents, and this is a tough time and tough decisions that the Buffalo Bills will have to make. This is Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane that are going to be evaluating talent over the next few weeks. Now, as you know, the Senior Bowl is going on right now in this weekend, and it's going to be a time for some of these draft prospects to shine. And the Buffalo Bills have some difficult decisions that they're going to have to make on whether they are going to re-sign the 19 players that they do have as free agents this offseason. Now, there's some notable names that we mentioned before. We talked about them yesterday on the show. The guys like Amari Cooper and Rasul Douglas. But there's also some other ones that are some back-end free agents that maybe aren't going to be in high command. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not the Buffalo Bills decide to re-sign these players. So we talked about what we were going to do on the show. We're going to talk about one player at a time. We'll probably do this series maybe twice a week leading up to free agency, which will be in March this year. I believe it is, I'll get the details on it, but I believe it's the second week of March for free agency beginning. I want to say it is um, the 14th, around then that it begins. So the negotiating period, actually, it is the 12th that it begins at 4 o'clock. That's the window that you can officially re-sign players and the official date that free agency begins for the Buffalo Bills. So it'll be a fun time to talk about this. Also, don't forget, if you are watching the show, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, as I mentioned before. So today we're going to begin this series. We talked about how we are going to begin it. It's going to be in chronological order in terms of the jersey number. So we're going to begin with the smallest number, starting with Damar Hamlin, working our way all the way up to the highest number, which will be Austin Johnson. So let's begin the series talking about Damar Hamlin, and I will bring him up here for our details. And Damar Hamlin last season was his first season as a starter for the Buffalo Bills. He was primarily a backup the first few years of his career, drafted in 2021 in the 6th round. He is coming out of Pittsburgh. So playing college ball in Pittsburgh, he played with Dane Jackson, a former Buffalo Bills cornerback, and he played last season 874 snaps, age 26, height of 6 foot, 200 pounds. Had 79 tackles last season, 1 interception. Could have had a couple more interceptions. Unfortunately, those were either called back or hit the ground, so he was not able to get those interceptions. Overall PFF rating of 60.2, which goes back to his coverage ability along with his run defense and a few other categories there. Some of the pros and cons for Damar is that he has good awareness in zone coverage. He also has the ability to play man coverage well when given space to operate. Has above average ball skills when playing receivers. He's good in reads as well as reaction to the ball in the air. He makes good initial angles to the ball and supports the run very well. Other areas that he needs to work on are his above average speed, lacks true burst and change of direction needed in coverage. Receivers continue to create separation on him on his out of breaks. His tackling is questionable at times, and I will get into some of the numbers through PFF that he has this season and talk about the areas that he could improve. But let's talk about those numbers right now as to what he has done. I mentioned that he had a 60.2 overall average. his grade for the season. His pass rush grade, which is not something that he normally needs to work on, is a 56.4. Run defensive grade, which is pretty good, is 70.9 overall in terms of the run grade, 53rd overall out of 170 safeties rated. His coverage ability, 54.0. He did have the 79 tackles last season. He had, I apologize, guys, 2 interceptions. I credited him with 1 interception, so he had 2 interceptions. I was going off of his regular season marks. 1 pressure overall, 20 receptions allowed this season was his numbers there. His best game that he played in terms of overall grade was against the New York Jets. He had a 71.4 rating against the New York Jets. That was a Week 6 matchup. His tackling was at its highest in Week 9 against the Miami Dolphins there. In those games, he had a season low of 0 missed tackles. His overall tackling rate of missed tackles that he had was 11% of missed tackles, which is a number that he definitely needs to improve on. Overall reception percentage was 74.1% of the catches that were thrown his way were caught. Overall receptions were 20 receptions on 27 targets. He did have 18 stops overall on defense, which is good numbers in terms for a safety there too. For him, his salary last season was $8,225,000. So that's a number that's definitely going to go up this season. But overall, a wonderful player and a great prospect for a 6th round pick in the NFL draft, coming in and being a starter on a Bills defense and leading them to a long run in the playoffs is incredible. Let's go over to some of the film that we will talk about with Damar Hamlin. I want to bring up a couple of videos first of all. The first one that we're going to watch, this is going to be a strip sack fumble that happens here. I'll bring it up here in just a second that you will see. But this is the strip sack fumble on Joe Flacco from earlier in the season. He has the strip sack there, and the ball is turned over. It goes to the Buffalo Bills. As you see, Damar Hamlin coming up with that fumble there on that play. The next play that we will talk about is going to be a interception that he had in his, I believe it's his first interception that he had there. So I will turn it over from that video to the next one, which is the interception here. And this interception happened against Mason Rudolph in a game earlier this season here. Let's talk about it. Let's go over the film here. As you will see right here, I will restart it, guys. That way you can see it good. Mason Rudolph in shotgun formation here. And he's looking right, throws it, ball tipped right into Damar Hamlin's hands. He tries to run it back again, but he was touchdown and ruled down at that point. His first interception of his career right there on that play. Next play that we will talk about is going to be this is one of the bigger plays that happened this season, and I know you guys will remember it. This was against the Baltimore Ravens, a play that will be remembered in Bills history for quite a while here. But this play comes down to a major sack strip fumble that happened on the play. So let's talk about this play here from the Bills. As you see, the ball from Lamar Jackson was a little bit over his head. It got into the arms of the Buffalo Bills as Damar Hamlin was trying to bring him down. It was a fumble. And then you see Von Miller change the game. It was 7-7 at this point in the game. And we'll replay it here as you see the ball going over Lamar's head. Damar trying to tackle him, and you see Von Miller trying to run. He's in 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear right there, and luckily he was able to hold on to the ball, change the direction of the game, and put the Bills in a good position there to put points on the board. So when I look at Damar in these situations, I look at, number one, what is the market really for safeties here? And the market for safeties in terms of who's going to be out there in 2025 is really there's a few options that you have. You have your guys in Jeremy Chin, who's coming over from the Washington Commanders there. And there is a couple of other guys that you can mention here on the list, but you also have, as I mentioned, Damar Hamlin here. That is a free agent too. So the Bills could go in another direction. You have Justin Reed, who is a free agent from the Kansas City Chiefs. I imagine that they are going to probably re-sign him. Justin Simmons, who is a little bit older, he's 31 years old. You also have Tyrann Mathieu. Marcus Epps leads the list of safeties that the Buffalo Bills could go after. There's a few other names on the younger side of things. Julian Blackmon, who played for the Indianapolis Colts, is the guy that the Bills wanted to bring in last season and brought him in for a visit. Unfortunately, they did not sign him. Jordan Fuller, a strong safety as well for the Carolina Panthers, is 26 too. That's another player that the Bills could sign. Maybe the Bills decide that they want to renew a already established relationship with Jordan Poyer and have his last year probably in the NFL be played with the Buffalo Bills. Do they decide to do that, or do they decide to go into the market for a draft prospect and look at the draft prospects for the NFL draft? And they could go after guys like there's somebody that's coming out from Texas that they could look at. I'm trying to remember the name of him. I'm drawing a blank, guys, so bear with me. If you know the name, go in the comment section. But there's also guys in the draft in Malachi Starks, a few other ones that we can mention, Billy Bowman, that are prospects from Oklahoma State. There's also a couple of guys that are cornerbacks that I know that would be an awesome option. And J.D. Barron, which is a guy that my friend Jake Podger would absolutely love to see him on the roster of the Buffalo Bills. He could be a player that transitions from cornerback to safety. So that could be a player that the Buffalo Bills decided to bring in here in the draft, in an early draft pick that the Buffalo Bills do have. Now, the Bills have a few early draft picks. As I mentioned, they have the 30th pick. They also have the 56th pick, and I believe the 58th pick in the draft. So that's something that the Bills could decide that they want to use some draft picks and to sign somebody. But in terms of whether or not the Bills should re-sign or let Damar Hamlin walk, I think that this is a good decision for the Bills to let him be re-signed because, number one, he is a player that is ascending in his career. He's young, as I mentioned, 26 years old, somebody that can really develop, and the Bills have done a good job of developing him into a good player overall. Now, I look at him in terms of could we find a replacement that is better than him? Absolutely, we could, and that's somebody that I think would be a tough decision to decide. But our friend Sean Kula says that we should let him walk. Now, yes, do I think that he should come in and be the starting safety overall next season? Probably not. I think that the Bills could really look into a combination of guys like Rapp and Bishop and then Damar in the mix. But I think that you could bring him in to compete at least in training camp and decide if you want to bring him in as a starter too. But Cole Bishop is going to compete for the starting role. Maybe you bring in another veteran, as we did late in the season. We brought in Kareem Jackson to be in the mix there too. I do think that the overall depth of the safety room needs to be a little bit better and have another veteran safety in the mix so that these guys that are younger can learn and develop behind him. I know that they brought in Micah Hyde for that situation, but I still think that we need one more guy in the mix, somebody that's a ball hawk type safety. And I think we're missing that from our lineup. Maybe it is a good decision for the Bills to let him walk. Red, White, and Bills coming into the chat saying, I like Damar, but Bishop and Rapp are solid. I agree with you there. Maybe it is a decision that the Bills decided to let him walk. So interesting stuff here. We will have another episode of the Resign or Let Walk series. That will probably be on Friday. I imagine that we will do that show, but I will also keep you guys informed on when we are going to do that show. in the YouTube comments as well as on Facebook. You can always tune in to the comments there, and you can also click on the GoBillsPodcast.com website, and we will have updates on when we are going to be going live. This has been Go Bills Podcast. We will see you next time for another edition of Resign or Let Walk. Before we end the show, I want to bring up the video as we are ending the show, but as always, Go Bills. I'm going to have one more video for you guys. Tune in and Go Bills.